My name is Hannah, and this is my beauty budget. Hello everyone, I am so excited for this video, partly because last month's Shop My Stash I feel like was a rip-roaring success, and I've been thinking a lot about Shop My Stash and the various ways to approach it, and I have some ideas and I want to share them with you, so I'm excited about that. But also, this video is once again sponsored by Ana Luisa Jewelry, and I am very excited that they wanted to sponsor me at the beginning of this video to just talk about the earrings that I love with you, in large part because this pair of earrings specifically, which are the Tia medium hoops, I have been wearing them so much, and I've had them for a long time. I mean, Ana Luisa sent them to me months and months and months ago when I did my first sponsored video for them. So I've had them for a long time, and they're one of those pairs of earrings that have just persisted and then kind of risen into my view as being like the best staple earrings that I have. And particularly this past month or 2 months, I've been wearing them all the time. If you saw my vlog, the recently posted vlog, you will have seen that in my daily life, this has kind of been my go-to gig. So I've been wearing these earrings with my messy side bun pretty much all the time off camera. I like to mix it up a little bit when I'm on camera. But the point is that it's just perfect timing. I even considered including these in my monthly favorites this month. I put them on the list, and then I was like, wait a second, I've been sponsored by Ana Luisa Jewelry. I have a code with them. Are people gonna think I'm just placing them in my favorites? But when I thought back over the month trying to come up with my style favorites, like thinking about what I've been rocking lately, these earrings, and especially wearing them this way, that was the first thing that sprung to mind. So this is the perfect opportunity to share this with you in the context of an actual sponsorship. And I specifically wanted to tell you that I have both sizes of the Tia earrings, and I've gotten a lot of private messages asking me to compare these two sizes. So these are the Tia mediums, and I'll put on the large on the other ear so you can see. So that's the large size Tia earring, and that is the medium-sized Tia earring. I love both of them, and you know I love the drama, so these are the ones that I thought that I would get the most use out of, but it has turned out that in practice, these ones are just perfectly balanced in every way. I still love rocking these ones from time to time, but these are the ones that I wear the most. They're lightweight, they're hollow, but they're gold-plated. They are so beautifully designed. I just feel like the design is perfect, and I think you guys know Ana Luisa is a direct-to-consumer jewelry brand, so there's not a middleman, which means the markup is much lower than it is for traditional retailers with jewelry. They hire really, really good designers who have formerly worked for luxury design houses. So it's just one of those situations where the quality is really high and the price is really reasonable, and these hoops in particular. So of course I will leave the link specifically to these hoops and the other hoops down below. I will also leave my discount code, which is affiliated. I'm so grateful that Ana Luisa wants to work with me. It's just a match made in heaven. I turn down a lot of sponsorships because I don't feel like I can stand behind the product. So it's really great to have a good match because it really, really helps my channel. And this is a product that I would be talking about anyway. As I said before, I was really tempted to include them in my monthly favorites this month. And maybe I will give them a brief mention just to be fair, because my love for them springs entirely from my relationship with them. And the fact that I'm able to be sponsored by the brand is just a cherry on top. And if you have any questions about Ana Luisa, the jewelry that I've tried from them, my experience with them, just leave it in a comment down below. I will be able to get to your comment if you comment within the first couple of days of when this video goes up. Actually, I've been meaning to let you guys know this, that lately I've been really attentive to the comment sections of the most recent 1 or 2 videos that go up. And then after that, I'm just focusing on the comment sections of the videos that have replaced them as the most recent. So if you'd like me to see your comment, or if you're watching this like a week after it goes live and you have a question about the earrings, go and comment on whatever is my most recent video, and I'll be sure to see your comment. I'll be able to answer your comment then. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. So I feel like when I shopped my stash last month, okay, so I said it was a rip-roaring success at the beginning, but in fact what's going on is that I had shopped my stash in kind of two distinct ways last time. And one way of shopping my stash was a rip-roaring success, and the other one was a total failure. So the first way in which I shopped my stash, the one that was really successful, was this. I shopped my stash for these two bold lip colors. One is Tom Ford Wild Ginger, one of my all-time favorite lipsticks for many reasons that's in my collection. It's kind of a watery, and I've said this before about color recently, I don't mean watery like the formula is watery at all. I mean like the red, if the red were a pigment, it's been watered down a bit. So it has this sort of thin, and in this case, slightly satiny, even more than slightly satiny, it's like a glossy satiny quality to it. I feel like it is a red orange, but color-wise, it's a bit of a watery red orange. It's not super, super dense. It's not like a hole that you feel like you can fall into. And I like that. I like that it's balanced in that way. It feels a bit cheery and a bit more chic maybe than some reds that are really trying to do the most. I feel like those reds, the reds that are trying to do the most, the reds that aren't watered down at all, there's a time and place for them. I feel like this one's a little bit easier to wear on more occasions. So that's Tom Ford Wild Ginger, and then this is Nars Sheop, which if you remember, I chose in large part because it's the thing that I have that's the most similar to those incredibly deep, rich, velvety, pink lipsticks that Lisa Eldridge recently released. It's not exactly the same. I think hers are a tiny bit more yellow toned, and Sheop is a little bit more of like a brilliant blue pink, but for all intents and purposes, they give the same effect. It's the same general style idea. And so the idea was that I was shopping my stash for these lipsticks to encourage myself to wear bold lips more often, even when I felt like I was already wearing strong choices, even when I felt like I'd already made strong choices. So frequently what will happen is I'll sit down to do my makeup, especially for filming, and I'll go ham with some kind of editorial, dramatic, textured eyeshadow. And then I'll be like, better go for a nude lip, because I don't want the lip and the eye to compete with each other. I don't want to feel like it's too much. Or in my daily life, if I'm wearing a strong, colorful, bright blouse, or even just like a bold single color, like a monochromatic outfit in a bold color, I will frequently feel like the outfit's making the statement, or a piece of statement jewelry, I'll feel like that's making the statement, and I don't want to disrupt that by adding a bright lip. So that's what I tend to default to. But in reality, if I really examine my feelings about style and color and balance, I actually think that there are several occasions, many occasions on which more is more with a bold lip, especially if the lip is slightly unusual like these two are, rather than just like a regular red lip. This slightly watery, satiny, orangey red, or this really, really editorial bold pink that's really creamy matte. That kind of lip color can often, I feel like, push all the rest of the aspects of the look over the line into feeling much more intentional, much more intentionally editorial, more intentionally jumbled. You know that quote from Coco Chanel about how before you leave the house you should take off one thing, like you're always wearing a little bit too much. I do that a lot. I actually agree with that. I think there's something about simplicity. When I say I do that, I mean I frequently make choices, like I choose earrings over a necklace rather than both. I do that a lot, and I was saying with my makeup. But I think that there's another idiom that no one's ever said that I'm going to say now that I think can also sometimes be true, which is that especially when you're wearing something busy, if you're wearing a lot, like if you have a dress that's quite a lot, like ruffles and a small colorful floral print and earrings, sometimes when you've piled on quite a lot, it can feel like it's not quite working, and the solution can be to put on something more, like one more statement balances everything out, and it's almost like it blends everything together and tones it down. And in so many cases, especially this past month, I've found that a bold lip can be that last touch that just makes the whole thing sing. And it's just, I mean, I've known that. I've known that for years. I've thought about style and color in these ways for years. It's just that it's one thing to know it, and it's another thing to actually do it enough to like re-remind myself of it and make it more natural. So what I've been trying to get at is that in shopping my stash for these two lipsticks, I was shopping my stash for a kind of style choice, for an idea, a practice. And it really worked. I ended up wearing one of these two lipsticks in a lot of videos, many more videos than I would have normally had a bold lip on for preposition. And don't come for me in the comments saying there's nothing wrong with ending a sentence in a preposition. I know grammar is fluid, grammar is whatever. It just sounds so much better when you don't. When I don't, right? It's just my choice, okay? I try not to end sentences in prepositions, even though it's 2019. It's just my little personal battle over here. Let me live. By the way, Paul at Hop Water sent me a couple of samples. Actually, this is just the original Hop Water because he included some of these, but he sent me some of their new flavor, the grapefruit flavor. I feel like it's been a while since I talked about Hop Water on here, or maybe it hasn't because I bought myself a bunch of them a couple of months ago, and I can't remember if I talked about them on my channel. But if you missed it, or if you've never heard me talk about it before, so good. It's so good. And I'm fanatical about spreading the news about Hop Water because I really want the company to do really well. I want them to thrive because I love the product so much. I'm not sponsored in any way except for the fact that he kindly sent me a couple of samples. It's water. It's just water, but it's been enhanced with hops so that it feels and tastes like drinking a beer, but it has no caloric value, no carbs, no alcohol, no nothing. Genius. Anyway, what were we talking about? More is more with a bold lip. So I was shopping my stash for that idea, to try to get back in touch with that idea, and it just totally worked. I loved every time I wore one of these two on top of an already slightly busy look. I just loved it. I was very, very, very pleased with that. I feel like that was a rip-roaring success. So the failure, the other thing that I shopped my stash for last time, was this Nars Board de Plage palette, which I used one time. So it's got Rivage, my favorite highlighter that I have significant pan in. It's got 4 other highlighters, and then it's got these 2 bronzers, neither of which are ideal for me. I like a bronzer with at least a tiny bit of glow, and these are quite matte, and they're also both a tiny bit dark for me. I can make them work kind of as a rosy blush, but I feel like with this, I shopped my stash in the old way, where I was like, this is something I used to love that I'm not getting enough use out of. I'm gonna shop my stash for it and then I'll get use out of it. Yeah. You know, that, it just didn't work. I saw it there, I was like, I'm supposed to be using that, but I don't want to. And I'm definitely, because I wanted to use other things. And I'm not one to use something that I don't want to use instead of something I do want to use just for the sake of like an abstract structured project or like a YouTube video or something like that. Like I'm going to do the makeup I want to do. The hope with this is that the problem was that I had just kind of forgotten about it because it was in the back of my little palette storage. So the hope was that putting it front and center, I would see it more often and I would remember that I have it and I would want to use it more than I wanted to use other things. But it just didn't go down that way. So shockingly, maybe that means that this is on the chopping block, and so maybe in that way it was a successful stash shopping because I learned that even with this sitting on top of my vanity for what I think over a month, I still didn't want to use it. But I also feel like it's kind of shown me that I'm more excited about the idea of shopping my stash intentionally for the purpose of encouraging myself to make certain kinds of makeup looks or to kind of think outside the box in certain ways, rather than the traditional shop your stash where you pull out something that has sort of become boring to you in the hopes that you'll get your money's worth. Because I'm just not about that life. I'm like, be happy, like use what you want to use. And sometimes when I pull something old out, I really, really love using it. Like actually both of these, I was so excited every time I decided to wear one. I was so excited I'd shopped my stash for them. I love the colors just as much as I ever have and the formulas, and I feel like they're very fresh right now, even though I've had them for years and years and years. I just didn't feel that way about this. So I feel like I'm starting to develop kind of a more pointed or more Hannah-specific way of shopping my stash, and it's this rather than this. This is still good, and in fact, one of the things I picked this month is kind of like trying to bring something that hasn't gotten enough attention into the light. So we'll see if it goes better than this did. I just thought it was worth talking about the fact that I feel like I had two strategies, and one went really, really well, and one, I guess it played out, nothing's wrong. You know what I mean? It's not like I failed, because I learned that I didn't really want to use this, but, and that matters the most, you know. But one of the groups of things, I'm not gonna finish that sentence. I would be repeating myself for like the fourth time. You guys understand what happened. Let's move on. Actually, let's have an ad break. It's time for an ad break, and when we come back, I'll tell you what I shopped my stash for today. All right, we're back. So I went with the same strategy of shopping my stash for 3 things, 2 of which are a little grouped together, and it's the same exact idea. I shopped my stash for 2 slightly, and actually rather unusual, both of them are rather unusual, bold lips that I frequently fear wearing, even though I love both of them so much. I frequently don't wear them because I'm afraid that they will be too much on top of an already bold or an already editorial look. So the colors are very different. Neither one of these colors is very much like either of the other 2 colors at all. So I'm just curious to extend that part of this project and see how it goes with these 2 other colors. So this one is Coral Gypsophilia by Givenchy, and it was limited edition. It's in this limited edition leather packaging. It's so pretty. The camera is always confused by this. It is literally fluorescent watermelon coral. It's really, really glowy. I mean, it's like beaming, and I can tell that the camera is getting confused and turning it into kind of this flat paint chip looking swatch. I'm sorry, there's no way for you to really see how it looks, and it'll be interesting if I'm wearing it in some videos. It'll be interesting to see how the camera handles that. And then this is one of my all-time favorites, if not my all-time favorite lip color, which is M Cosmetics Faded Clementine. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's sort of a soft, rusty, faded orange. A real orange, not a red orange, but a real orange. And I love that about it. And I also love that it's got that slightly faded, rusty edge. So I am once again shopping my stash for 2 bold and unusual lips, and I'm going to keep going, trying to get myself to pair lips with already dramatic eye looks or blouses or whatever, and we'll see how that goes. I'm really, really excited about this. I'm really thrilled to have had such a good experience last time and to be proceeding with it. This is the other thing I'm shopping my stash for, the Natasha Denona Gold Palette. It's funny because it still feels a bit new to me. I received this as a Christmas gift last year, so it's less than a year that I've had it in my collection, but we're getting into the fall, like we're getting towards the end of the year. So it has been a while. I feel like it's been long enough that it's okay for me to shop my stash for it. It doesn't feel like I'm shopping my stash for something brand new. My feelings about it are still as excited as they were when it was brand new, and I think that that's why it kind of caught me off guard that I was thinking about shopping my stash for it, and then I was like, no, this is a really good idea. And it's because, and once again, there's sort of like a pointed goal. There's like a, oh no. Oh no. I don't know if you guys could see that, but this sort of muted brassy gold shade in the bottom corner just fell out of its pan and onto the floor. It's not the first time that it's happened. I usually remember not to hold it up like that, but it's so soft that it's just kind of like the entire thing falls out, and there's no, you know, there's obviously nothing adhering it into the pan. None of the other shades have ever done that to me, but that one has done it, I think, one other time. And I'm not the only one to whom that has happened. I feel like Natasha Denona palettes are notorious at this point for that happening. It always just lands in like a chunk in its same shape. It never like crumbles or falls apart. I mean, always, both times that it's happened. It's been really easy to pick. Like that one just it bounced off of my lap and fell all the way to the rug. And still I was able to pick it up and pop it right back into the pan, and it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. So it's not an emergency, but I know that some people feel like it's a real problem that happens. I think it may just be that she's privileging the way that the formula works over top of whether or not it stays in the pan, which maybe that is a real problem. I feel like maybe we could have both, but anyway, side note, what was I just saying? I'm once again shopping my stash with a very clear mission for this palette. And it's this. I have gotten so much use out of this palette, but it has been mostly individual shades taken out of the palette and used as mixed in singles. So there's a huge dip in this one right here, in that one right there, and these two are pretty well worn. And they're the ones that I tend to pull out. And sometimes the mattes too, I tend to pull out and put them in other palettes. So I feel like I've gotten to know certain shadows in this palette really, really well as companion shadows or support shadows to other palettes that I've been building. But as the months have worn on since I received it, I've gotten more and more out of touch with the way that it performs as a single color story. And I've been so impressed lately by Natasha Denona's releases. The mini gold palette, don't get me started. Even the Metropolis palette, I really like the color story. I do feel like it's a little bit repetitive. I've been hearing that feedback from people, but I also think it's really beautiful. I really appreciate the way that Natasha Denona constructs palettes. And especially lately, I've been reminded of my appreciation for that. And then I started thinking, why do I keep then dismantling the gold palette and using it as singles? I should go back to using it as the color story that she designed and see what happens, and see if I end up kind of learning something new from it or getting something from it that I didn't before, or that I haven't recently. So it's specifically kind of about my feelings about Natasha Denona, my feelings about her new releases, her holiday releases. There are a lot of colors in terms of like the idea of color. There's a lot shared between this and the Metropolis palette. They're not the same. I think the Metropolis palette, the golds are a lot more orange, a lot warmer. This is definitely more of a mustard palette. But the fact that it's got gold and blue and that you can mix green with it is similar, right? It's similar to, it's very fall, it's very holiday, it's similar to a lot of what's being released right now. So I just feel like it's the perfect way to stave off my desire for certain new releases and to remind myself that I already own the perfect Natasha Denona palette for me in many ways, and just to kind of see what happens in terms of looks. I think that the looks that I'll get with this are the kinds of looks that I want to be making right now. And I think that if I didn't intentionally shop my stash for it, that fact might kind of fly under my radar. So I'm resuscitating this for all of those reasons, and I'm excited to see how it goes. And won't it be interesting? Like, imagine the looks that I'll get with this, right? Grungy mustardy gold, really shimmery, often with those blues, those blue greens mixed in, certain rather green looks using that lime topper and those aquas. So imagine those grungy gold, green, blue looks. And then these are the lip colors that I have. One wouldn't normally, I think, pick that out. One would think, oh no, one or the other, or maybe don't pair those sort of mustards with this kind of lip, you know? So it'll just be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what I end up coming up with. And in fact, I'm so intrigued by the idea of the combination of these three in my Shop My Stash. Maybe I'll do a getting ready with these like Samantha does, and just sort of like experiment with these color ideas and see what I come up with and kind of play with that on camera. I feel like that would be fun. If you'd like to see that, let me know, because I could totally do that this month. I've really been enjoying being more intentional about it, rather than shopping my stash as a way of rescuing flailing products, shopping my stash as a way of intentionally pointing myself, having a moment where I think about a direction in which I want to point myself in terms of style and trend, and then intentionally pointing myself in that direction using products that I already have and that I've had for a long time, and that I kind of haven't really been realizing could be used in that way. And that's also why I've been shopping my stash for fewer things, because I don't want to be saddled with like a whole makeup look or a whole an entire routine of products from start to finish that I am slogging through using again and again and again for the purpose of reporting back about. I mean, I know that a lot of people use Shop My Stash that way, and I'm not slogging through. I mean, it's not a slog for everyone. I think for some people it's great to have like a default everyday makeup bag or a default everyday makeup drawer. for many people that works perfectly, and I'm not trying to besmirch that practice on YouTube because I think it's fantastic, and I love watching like Sarah Hubler's Everyday Makeup Drawer series and Samantha March's Shop to My Stashes. I love those videos, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I'm really enjoying this version of Shop My Stash for me, where I just spotlight a few products for very specific reasons and use them in tandem with all of the other things that I'm naturally reaching for over the course of the month, and just see what it does to me in terms of the way I think about style. That's what I'm really into right now. That is it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and a huge thank you again to Ana Luisa for working with me, for sponsoring the beginning portion of this video. As I said before, the link to the Ana Luisa website and my Ana Luisa discount code will be at the top of the description box down below. So if you're not on a no-buy and you're looking for some jewelry like this and it's in your beauty budget, then this might be something to check out. I also find that Ana Luisa jewelry makes a really good gift, so that's something to think about too. All right, thank you again for watching, and don't forget to take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.